Hi, Gaye DeRusso with the Majestic Rider. Here I am with Disco, and I've been working him some. I just didn't videotape all of it, so I'm going to tell you what I worked on. Just getting him to stand at the mounting block because he walked away, and that might just be because he's in a new place. Then I worked on lateral flexion and vertical flexion to get his head down. Then I walked circles and serpentines and circles and leg yield, and he knows I have cookies. And worked on bending and getting his head down because he kept holding his head high when I put pressure on the rein. So I was teaching him to put his head down and to relax. So I've done that all at the walk. And then I was working on his back up because that wasn't that good either. And so I was stopping him and backing him up and then trying to get his head down at the back up, which will come in time. I leg yielded him. He knew how to do that. He was pretty good at it. And we did our turn on the forehand, and that was pretty good. So now I'm going to start working on his gait, and we'll see how that goes. Now, he seems like a very nice horse. He's very sweet, and he seems very willing. It just seems that with the bit, he doesn't totally understand, at least with this snaffle, and he has a Brenda Imus bit he came with also. See if he walks away this time. Good boy. And, yeah. So he gets a little treat for standing there. So he might be totally fine in the Brenda Imus bit, but this is how he is in this snaffle. What we're trying to do is just to make sure he understands the bit when we start his training. So when I go to ask him to do things, as I'm trying to get his gaits, he'll have some understanding. But some of these horses, even though they've had a bit in all their life, they don't know how to respond to it. And they either yank on it or pull on it. So what he did is he kind of pulled on it, and he had his head up, and then he would put his head down if I kept the pressure up, but then when he put his head down, he would pull the bit down. And a lot of horses do that because people are releasing at the wrong time period. And so the horse just thinks if he pulls, then they stop pulling. So what I'm going to do is just show you as I'm shortening up how I help them with that, but I always teach them the lateral flexion and the vertical flexion first before I start any of this under saddle. And what you're trying to do once they have some concept is when you apply pressure on the reins, you're trying to create a wall that they can't push into. And you do that by kind of holding yourself in the saddle with your thighs, bracing your back and your stomach, and then blocking them with your arms, and then you block them with your legs if they try to go sideways. So here we go. So I'm going to put some pressure on the bit. I'm putting some pressure with my legs. His head's staying up. I'm just staying still and holding tight. And you try to stay as still as you can. Now blocking him with my left leg because he's going left. And now even though he knew how to do this a minute ago, he has kind of forgotten. So I'm going to break. Oh, there he goes. But if he wasn't getting it, I would just stop. Okay. So now as we're walking around, I'm going to ask him again. So I'm going to hold pressure on the bit. I'm blocking him with my left leg, and his head went down. So some horses are very smart, and they figure it out pretty quick, which Disco did. And maybe he knew this before, and I'm the person reminding him. It doesn't seem like if he did, he hasn't done this for years at least. Okay. So sometimes it comes back to them, and other times they have no clue, or they totally forgot, or they're not the smartest horse in the barn, and it takes a long, long time to do this. So each horse is different, so you know that. All right, so his first gait should be a flat walk, so we're going to speed him up, and he just tried to speed up too much. So that's too much, because there he's going towards a trot. So all I want, which I don't think he knows how to do, or at least at the moment, is just a faster walk. Because I like and you'll see I'm kind of going back and forth with him because he's putting his head up and down, he's putting it too low, and then he puts it too high. I just kind of want it neutral, so every time he puts it somewhere I don't want it, I'm going to apply pressure, and if he gets it down too far, I might kind of pop my hand up. What I'm trying to do is just get him to walk faster. So the first gait, the flat walk, is still a walk, so I don't want to change the football. I just want him to walk faster. And I tried this with him with the sur single, lunging him, and he also couldn't do it on the lunge line, so I figured he might not be able to do it under saddle. Okay? So I do all the preparation with circles and everything to help make them be supple, and then I just try to make the gaiting easy by usually going straight in the beginning. And then once they're good, then I start making circles and everything at their gait. Okay? Now this is not very fast, but I can only go as fast as he can figure out in the beginning. And I'm alternating my legs, so right, left, right, left, right, left. Because people have probably put 2 legs on him, and he might think that means trot now. So I don't want to trot, or maybe he thinks it means gait, but too fast. But whatever he did, it did not feel comfortable. Okay? So we'll try it once. He's doing so well, so I hate to do this, but I'm going to show you. So we're going to put a little bit more leg on him. Yep, he just trots. And that is a gait. It's just not the gait we want. So let's try it one more time. Yep. So he's just going to a trot. And it doesn't mean he didn't gait before. It just means he is not gaiting now. Or, maybe he's never been ridden in the arena before. Okay. So what we're going to do is just work on trying to get a flat walk. I always try to get the first gait first and then build upon that. Because if you don't, then anytime you try to walk faster, you can't walk faster. They either start gaiting or pacing or trotting. So we want to get all the gaits smooth. So I like to, make building blocks. So our first gait is going to be a flat walk, which is just a regular horse's extended walk. And so I know he can do that, even if he's trotty, because most horses can do an extended walk, except for the ones with really, really short strides, but they can all walk faster. Okay. So he's getting better as we're going around. He's a little crooked at times. He's pulling on the bit at times. And other times like this, he's very good. Now, when they're flat walking, you'll see their head go up and down, and you'll see you have a back and forth motion. Now, some horses are different, and, if they're really, really well gaited, and it's a different breed with not a big stride, they'll have the speed of a flat walk, but they might not have that head shake, okay? So it just depends on the horse. Like the Paso Finos, you don't see them doing a lot of head shake. The Peruvians will some, because you can usually get them to flat walk. But some of those Pasos are a little bit more lateral, and they have beautiful gaits, don't get me wrong, but they just won't tend to shake their head as much. Some of them have never been ridden slow, so they don't know how to go slow. All right, so we're going back and forth. He's starting, if you can see from there, his ears are starting to flop. That's a very good sign of relaxation. Anytime you're gaiting your horse and it starts flopping his ears, pat yourself on the back, because that means you're doing a good job. Okay? Now, I'll need to get this flat walk pretty good before we go to the next speed, but today will be the only day that after this flat walk, I'll try to gait him and we'll see what we have. Okay? By getting this flat walk down, we're trying to get relaxation, we're trying to make him supple, and have him understand to carry his body neutral. Now, with the horses that are trotty, sometimes you got to bring their heads way up in the beginning. Okay? And ones that seem to move like him, he seems to move more like a walking horse or a fox trotter. He's got a bigger stride. Those, we usually don't want their heads too high up. Usually doesn't work, or sometimes it's not the nicest gait, so I usually just try to get it neutral or just a little bit higher than neutral. But he could make me a liar, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so he's doing pretty good. Right there, he's fed up. Now again, a lot of these gaited horses, people will say, well, he doesn't gait. And maybe he did when you got him and you taught him not to gait because they kept pacing or trotting or you kept going too fast. And then you stopped him when you did those things and rewarded him by accident. And so they think that's what you want, and that's what they keep doing, because they're like, hell, why would I gait if I could just trot or pace, because that's so much easier for me. And it is. The trot and the pace is so much easier for these horses than doing the gait. So, but if you condition them, the gait becomes very easy for them. But you have to condition them first. Now again, some of the horses just gait, and that's all they do. They don't trot or pace or anything else, but that's not him. All right, so we're going to stop. So I'm going to take my legs off, sit back, take a deep breath in. Whoa. Now, I never touched him, but before I put that camera on, I did that a whole bunch of times. I took my leg off, sat back, and now I'm able to stop him on the first day, which is my body. So he's a smart horse. Now we're going to try to turn on the haunches. To turn on the haunches means the back end, which is the haunches, is going to stay still. We're going to pivot on it. And if you watch Rainers, that's one of the moves they do with the rollback, okay? So we're going to ask him to move over by bringing our hands in. I'm going to look in, and I'm going to push with my left leg right at the girth. If that doesn't work, I kind of hit him in the shoulder a little bit. So I don't know if he knows how to do this. And I'm not going to worry about his head at this point in time. Good job, buddy. Now he's doing pretty good. Right there, he tried to spin his hind quarter instead of moving his front end. Okay, now, he didn't do the rest of it that well, but this is the first day, so we're going to accept it. That was okay, right? He tried. He got half of it, and that's good enough for me. All right, so now we're going to walk this direction. He's starting to get the hang of this. So he might be one that just needs to be reminded what he's supposed to do. Okay? So I'm just alternating my legs, and I'm pushing just a little bit with my seat. That means I'm just kind of pushing my seat back and forth like you're on a swing set and you're trying to pump and make that swing go back and forth. So I'm just pushing a little bit. I'm trying to give him different cues because I know he's confused a little bit on what he's supposed to do. So left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg. And you'll see he's not going very fast, is he? Okay? We want him to go as fast as he can, but stay at the walk. And sometimes when you start them and they've been messed up, or somebody's taken their gait away, you have to start super slow. You can't go fast at all until you get that footfall. If you don't get that footfall, you're just going to be taking them through the pace and the trot every time you wanted them to gait. And to me, that's not something I want to do. I don't think that's fun. I want my horse to smooth from slow to fast. And remember, they all have a certain speed that they can go. So some are much faster than others, and some are much slower. To me, he seems like he's probably going to have like an intermediate speed. He doesn't feel like he's going to be real slow. He has a decent stride. And in time, once he's conditioned, this horse might be pretty fast, and I'm sure has something like a racking gait. The ones that are so trotty like this, their ears go flopping. But the ones that are so trotty like this, might have a running walk or a foxtrot, or they might get both of those. So we'll see. Hopefully, he'll have lots of different things that we can get. Now there, I hit him with my leg, and he got just a little bit fast, and I half halted on the rein to tell him, no, sorry, that was a mistake. I do want you to try to move faster, but I don't want a different speed. So the better you know how to ride, the more lessons you've taken growing up, the more you understand how to use your legs, your seat, and your body to help the horse, the easier this is going to be for you. If you don't know how to ride, and you don't know how to use your hands, your legs, and your seat, this is going to be harder for you because the horses aren't just going to do it if they're ones like him, okay? So that means you actually have to learn. So if you don't want to learn how to ride and you just want to be a passenger, I always tell people, then you get one that just gaits. And you watch it when it's loose, not just under saddle. Because of course we can get many to gait under saddle that don't gait when they're loose. But you want to make sure that horse gaits when it's loose, like my horse Tilly. That's pretty much, well, the most she does, unless she gets too fast, then she might pace her trot. But otherwise, she pretty much just gaits. Okay, so he's doing pretty well, and we've gone around almost 5 minutes. Good job, buddy. But he's doing really well. He's like, oh, this lady's going to make me work, isn't she? Now, we're going to stop in a minute, and what I'm going to do is the same exact thing. So with horses, you want to repeat the same exact thing so they can figure out the pattern. But if you stop them different all the time, they won't figure it out. So when I go to stop, except when it's an emergency, then I just pull. But when I go to stop, I take my leg off, I sit back, I take a deep breath in and out with my mouth, I say whoa, and then I pull. So here we go. Legs off, sit back, deep breath in. Good boy. So he did very well. He stopped. I didn't even get to whoa. He's like, you don't have to whoa me. I'm a smart one. And he has the greatest name. His name's Disco, but it's Panic at the Disco. So I love his name. Whoever named him, that was great. So he did really well. So we're going to give him a break for a couple of minutes, and then I'll try to go faster, and I'll show you what next gait he can do. And some of these horses, just so you know, I'm riding in the arena and teach them stuff in here. Sometimes when you go out there, because that's where they've been ridden, they gait out there, but they don't gait in here because of the footing, and they've never been ridden in the arena. So that's something to know. If the horse has just been trail ridden and you want to arena ride it, it might not gait in there. But the horses that gait in the arena, they will gait on the trail because they've been taught the basics and they know what to do with their bodies. They don't need the trail or the terrain to help them. They've learned in here. So just a little quick note. Okay, so we're going to do another turn on the haunches. So I'm going to shorten up my reins. Going to open my left rein. Remember, I have the video on how to use your rein. So left rein opens up, right rein goes against his neck but does not cross over it. You sit up nice and tall, you turn your head the direction you want to go so the horse knows, and then I'm going to press with my right leg, which is the outside leg, the leg over here, right at the girth or kind of by his shoulder. So here we go. So we're looking, I'm pressing with my leg. He's like, I think I have a clue. Good boy. Now you got to kind of hold them so they don't walk away. Now, he did it quite good this direction, didn't he? And that means he moves off the right leg better than the left leg because he understood it better and can do it better, or one side of his body is stronger than the other. All right, so here I'll try and stay closer. And remember, the trotty ones, you don't want their heads way down, but first I just want him to make sure he's not going to pull on the bit. So I am going to bring his head down for a minute. I'm just going to do that a couple of times because, again, today's the first day, at least with me, that I taught him to do that. Okay. And I always go back to our first gait to kind of get them warmed up again if I've been sitting, because some of the horses immediately will go to pacing or trotting if you don't kind of remind them what you were doing. All right. So now we're going to go faster. So I'm going to use both legs. I'm going to squeeze a little bit. And if his head stays there a little higher, I'll be fine with that. I don't want it too low since I know he's trotty. So let's see what he does. Now you'll see he's kind of pulling down. Yep, there's a trot. So we're going to keep his head up a little bit. Now I'm going to keep asking for speed and see if I can get him to do something. It's there. I can feel it. He's going in and out of it. See those ears? That's when he's gaiting, when you see those ears doing things. Good. So he's doing good. Good job, buddy. Now, I don't want him to go that fast. Again, we want different speeds. He might already know how to rack. Whoa. Okay. So from now on, when I stop, I ask him to put his head down and not pull on the bit. So you might see his head go down and I don't let go of the reins yet. That's because he's pulling on the bit. And I don't want him to do that, so I'm not going to release until he does. So I stop to tell him, that's the right answer. That's what I want you to do. And then we're going to do it again. Okay? And since I got the video on, I'm not going to give long breaks right now. Okay, so we're going to shorten back up. We're going to go back up to our flat walk. He's pretty smart, so I think once he figures out he gets breaks when he's doing that gait, that he'll start doing it more and more. So we'll see. So one leg then the other, because we're at the flat walk. He's pulling. You see me kind of get pulled forward, because I didn't brace myself enough there. And he's strong. It's 1,000 pounds pulling against my body. All right, so now we got our flat walk. Now we're going to go a little faster. So both legs. And I'm going to kind of sit back, because with the trotty ones, if you sit back more on your seat pockets, it helps. And he just pulled on me, and I held. So see him pull there when he's starting to trot? And he just offered, he's like, do you want me to put my head up? So that probably means that's how they got his gait, and he probably does rack. Now here's pretty good. It's faster than his flat walk. He's shaking his head. And so that means he's either going towards a running walk or a foxtrot, and you guys decide what you think he's doing, because this helps train your eye. Now there, he tucked his head in, but he's not trotting, so I was like, hey, that's fine with me. Good job, buddy. So now we're going to stop. So legs off, sit back, and he didn't pull it off. So now he gets a break again. So again, I don't mind if his head is up or down. I'm trying to do what helps him the most. If he can carry it down and he can gait, then of course that's better. That's much better for their neck and their spine and all of that. But if he can't, again, we raise it up to invert their back to help him to get the gait. And then, however, they can carry it comfortably and that's okay for their body. That's what we want to do, what's best for him in the long run. When you're cranking their head up and you ride them for their life like that, they get that big U neck. So if your horse has that big muscles underneath their neck, you know they've been ridden with their head way up. If they have muscles on top of their neck, like the pretty Andalusians and the Frisians, then you know that they've been ridden with their head down. So that's one way to tell. And the horses that are ridden like this all the time, well, what do you think happens over time is that they get arthritis in their neck and their back because they're taking the spinous process, which is the back of your vertebrae, and they're crushing those kind of all together, and then they're doing it for many, many years. Now, if you crank the horse's head down too far, like you see some people do, they get the horse behind the bit or they have their head tucked into the chest. That's not good either. That causes a lot of arthritis up in here and can be quite painful for them too. So you're trying to get the horse to carry themselves comfortably where they can do the gait. But he's like, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. And that's why that tail swish, he's like, I thought that was it, lady. And I'm like, no, let's do it one more time. Okay. So we're going to get our flat walk. He's cutting in. He's got his head up. I'm holding him. He's pulling his head down, but he's pulling on the bit, so I'm not letting go. I'm holding him with my legs, and now I'm alternating my legs. Now he started to soften. He started not to pull on the bit, and he lowered his head, and you'll see his ears flopping. So there's our flat walk. It's not very fast. Now we're going to go faster. So both legs, and we'll see what he does with his head. So I'm ready to half halt. Now that's pretty good. That's still good. Oh, very smooth. Oh, look what you got, Disco. He's like, how about that, lady? And I'm like, yeah, that's good. Now, there he started to go out of it, and you'll see I'm holding him. I'm not asking him to put his head up. He's doing that. So I'm still holding him till he puts his head down and relaxes a little bit. Now, see, it's not going down, so I'm holding. I'm blocking with my left leg because he's going left. There it goes. And so that timing makes a huge difference on if you're getting your horse to gait or not. Because if I didn't know to hold him, I wouldn't have gotten that back. Now look at this. Wow, that's pretty, Disco. He's like, you going to stop now, lady? Now again, watch that gait. See, he's getting faster and what's happening. You're seeing the soft bounce in the saddle. So now you have to decide, was I just doing a step pace or was that a foxtrot? Okay? Good job, buddy. So he has lots of things he can do. He was hiding it all. He's like, I just know how to trot, lady. That's all I know how to do. And I was like, you're lying, Disco. So as he goes faster, he kind of comes out of gait. But you'll see each time I've gone around, he's gotten a little bit more speed to him. But I'm holding, I'm bracing with my legs and my seat. I'm blocking him so he can't pull and get back up into that trot. Okay. Now, even though he has this, let's go faster and see what happens. So I'm going to pick his head up for a minute and see what he does. Look at that. So he does. He has a little saddle gait or a racking gait. So, good job, buddy. So that was nice, right? So you're like, why are you going slow and doing these other gaits since that was nice? Because if he doesn't go exactly the right speed, he starts trotting. And so what I'm trying to do when these horses come in for training is that whatever speed the people are riding with their friends, it's smooth and it's not a trot, okay? Because otherwise we would have brought a trotting horse. So we want to make sure that we get all their gaits smooth and they can do their slower speeds, okay? Because otherwise you don't want to go back through the trot all the time. And, you know, even though he could do that, now he's getting a little more lateral. I'm going to stop him. So legs off, sit back, deep breath in. Good boy. I want to make sure he has lots of smooth gaits so they have options to pick from. And again, if we can teach him in time not to have his head so high to get that gait, it's better for his neck and back. In the beginning to get it, it's fine, but what I'm going to try to do is when I practice that, which is not yet, and probably won't be for a week or something, when I practice it, I'm going to try to get him to relax and do it a little bit less strenuous on his neck and back in time. But again, he knows how to do it, so that's great. So we're going to give him a little break, and then we're going to try and go the other direction. But again, if I didn't know how to ride gaited horses, I didn't know anything about trotty horses, I wouldn't know to pick his head up to try to get that gait. So remember, usually if they're trotty, you're bringing their head up. If they're pacey, you're usually bringing your head down. So at least you know that. So it might help you a little bit. But the rest of it comes from knowing how to ride, how to half halt, how to use your body, your legs, your seat, how to brace against them if they're pulling, and not having the horse just dragging you around. And we're going to go the other direction. Now we're going to go back to doing a turn on the forehand. So that means their front end stays still, the back end walks around. It's the same thing as disengaging the hindquarters. He did it when I was next to the fence, and when he was in here, he just kind of forgot what to do, but he just did it. Okay, so now we're going to go this direction, and what I'm going to do first is just to show you, like, can you do a saddle gait this direction? So I'm just going to speed up and show you, because then we're going to get back to doing what we're supposed to be working on. You ready, Disco? So let's squeeze with both legs. So there he's trotting. Bring his head up. Now he's still trotting, isn't he? So I'm going to push him over. And all I did was just push him sideways. But if I didn't know how to ride and push him sideways, I would have just kept trotting. So those are some of the cues they taught him to go lateral with his legs instead of the trot. But see his head, it's up above the horn. And he's doing it just fine. Whoops, and he tripped. But we want to get his slower gaits. So now I'm going to breathe, walk. Good job. Because again, I don't like to pull on their mouths if I don't have to. So if I can bring him back down without ever touching his mouth, I would rather do that. So now we're going to go back to the flat walk. And again, we're going to the flat walk because we want to get building blocks. So there he goes. His ears are starting to flop. He looks much happier. Now there his head came up, so I'm going to hold. But now you know why his head comes up all the time and why it was coming up when I first started riding him, which I didn't show on the video. But his head came up because that's the gait they were going for the whole time. Now see, by accident, I touched him with my legs, and he's like, oh my God, I'm supposed to do that. I gotta go. We don't want him freaking out like that, okay? We just want everything nice and easy. I want to make his life less stressful. So now I'm going to slowly add both legs, keep a little pressure on the rein, and ask just for a faster speed, which is this, and we're just going to stay here for a bit. Because again, when I first went this direction, and when I went to get that saddle gait or slow rack, what did you see him do? You saw him trot, so I know if I go too fast, he's probably going to start trotting. So what we're trying to teach him is no more trotting. We don't want to do that anymore. So every time he trots, I'm either going to put pressure in his mouth or push him over a little bit and give him more jobs to do and get him out of that trot. And the only time I'm giving him breaks is when he's doing the right thing. Try to never, stop and stand. You can stop, but don't stop and stand when they're trotting or pacing. Only stop and stand when that horse gaits well. And that's the opposite of what we want to do, right? Because when they gait well, we don't want to stop. We want to keep going because it was fun. It's the same thing with side passing. People learn how to side pass, and then the horse does it really well, and they want to keep going. I go, no, you got to give him a reward. If you don't give him a reward, he's not going to want to do it again. It's like if you worked really hard, and I gave you a paycheck, you want to work really hard for that paycheck. But guess what? If you worked really hard, and I was like, no, you don't get a paycheck. You know when you get a paycheck? When you stay home and you don't work. And you're like, see ya. Then you would stay home and not work and get your paycheck. That's the same for them. If they pace and trot, they stop and get the break. That's their paycheck. So don't stop and rest when they're trotting or pacing. You can stop, get them out of it, and then immediately go forward again. Okay, so what do? We get a flat walk. Get his head down a little bit because he thinks he's supposed to carry it up. And you might have just saw it was holding him when his head's up. You see my arms bracing, my elbows bent. And then when his head goes down, I'm pushing my arms straight and just giving him all that bit. But if all of a sudden he just yanked downward, I would take a hold of him again. Because I'm like, no, I don't want it down too far. I just want it down neutral. Okay, so one leg then the other for his flat walk. He's getting lazy in here. Now I'm going to add both legs, and I'm going to hold the rein a little bit tighter just to help him. And all we want is just a little faster gait. Now his head's up, so I'm holding. I'm like, no, don't do that. Now some of these horses were also taught to do that saddle gait or rack when you kiss or cluck to them. So, you know, if you do, and the horse launches into this super speedy gait, and you don't want that, you can get them out of it. You just start clucking lightly all the time, like, and just get them kind of immune to it. So that way if somebody clocks, or you clock by accident, they don't take off into that speedy gait. Because again, the reason they do that is usually somebody clocked to get them to go and then got after him with a stick or spur. So they associate, like when they clock, he was good, and then he just got too fast and he pulled there. Now I'm going to stop and give him a break. Good boy. So that's how they got him to gait, which helps you to get him to gait. But once you get the hang of it, again, if you don't want them to jump into that gait, you just make them more immune to the cluck, and you cluck and don't ask them to go faster. And then just get louder and louder over time, but you do it very lightly in the beginning. Okay? So we're just going to give them a minute or so, and then off we go. So what I'm doing right now is I'm looking at his neck. Lots of times you don't look at their neck or their shoulders because their mane's in the way. So when you're sitting, take a break, look at it. So what I see is his shoulders bigger on the right-hand side than the left. He has more muscles on the right side of his neck versus the left. You'll see an indentation here. You know, sometimes that's from a trauma, but sometimes that's from the way that they were ridden as well. So hopefully in time, if we ride him correctly, we'll build up the left shoulder with more muscle, and we'll be able to fill his neck in a little bit. All these things, the way we ride them affects where they get the muscles and what they do. And so you're trying to know everything about your horse if possible, and you're sitting up there anyhow, so why not take a look? So back to our flat walk, we're going to hold, try to bring his head down a little bit. There we go, that's better. So one leg then the other, right leg, left leg, not speed up yet. He's nice. Now, people might get mad, like, why? He just sped up on me, and then they get pissed off. And I'm like, he's just trying to figure out what we want, and he's trying to do it ahead of time, because this is a good horse. He's motivated, and he's trying to be like, do you want this? So don't punish him for that. Just be like, no, that wasn't it. Thanks. So, okay. So here we go. So a little bit more leg. Now I'm going to both legs. See his head going up and down. He's going faster. So in the end, this will be his, more of his flat walk, maybe in a couple weeks or so. And we won't go that slower speed. But again, when I start them out, I just go slow. Get their footfall. When I'm talking about footfall, it means get an even 4-beat rhythm going. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're doing a pace or a trot, it's just 1, 2, 1, 2, and you'll hear it. And you'll hear it on the pavement. If you're not sure, go on the pavement and you can hear it. So you should hear 4 beats. And that's when they're doing that saddle gait and people are going pucka, pucka, pucka. That's what it sounds like. That's 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the pucka, pucka, pucka. Okay? Okay. So he's going faster. There we go. So I couldn't have done that in the beginning because he was trotting with his head down. But now he's like, oh, I can hold this for you. You just want me to walk a little faster? Look at that. Now he tried to give me a little bit more, and I was like, no, he's still trying to give me more, and I'm trying to slow him down. There we go. Because again, a lot of times these horses, it's all about speed. They're just ridden with speed, and that's what they think everybody wants. So this is great. So guess what? Oh. And that's today. Because he did everything I wanted. We don't want to do anything else. I reward them by immediately loosening their girth when I get off. If I'm teaching them something or I'm teaching them to canter. Lots of times I give my horse cookies. That's up to you if you want to give them cookies. But that's their paycheck. Here's your paycheck. And that's Disco. So I think Disco, has some decent training on him. He knows some stuff. Somebody taught him that. And I think he's a great horse, and he tries, at least in the arena. I have no idea how he is on the trail. But this is a very nice horse. And I think if you watch his progression, you're going to see he has some very nice gaits in there, and then we'll show the owner how to get them. All right, hope that helps.